Hello, everyone. It's Johnny Bevan, the police burnout coach, and I want to talk to you today about learning to trust yourself because it's, I think, learning to trust myself is one of the best, most powerful lessons I've learned, and it's taken me a long time to do it actually. And it was pointed out to me a couple of years ago when I was being coached, and they said you just got to learn to trust yourself. And it, and recently I've been looking back at times when I haven't trusted myself. And I think back to when I joined the police, and I used to sometimes think, I want to do it this way. And then I'd be sort of, someone else would say, no, I think we ought to do it this way, do it another way. And I'd go with it whilst in my gut thinking this isn't right. And then things would go wrong. And I'm not saying my way was right all the time, but what I'm saying is I didn't listen to my gut. And that really is what I think trust is, listening to that intuition when that negative voice quietens down that we all have, and you just something just feels right. You that's the right thing to do. And then the other side of it is if then you do make mistakes, just being have the confidence to learn from those mistakes. Because that's what breeds self-confidence, that willingness to try things, get it wrong, and do it again. But when you're willing to sort of go, yeah, that's right. And if it's wrong, I'm going to accept consequences. It builds such confidence and you build such trust in your own in yourself, which obviously relates then to your own decisions. Like decision making becomes quicker. Because even if people are saying no, that it's not that you just ignore them, you take in all the information you can, but ultimately you've got your own back. And I think one of the times I really recognized this was when I was going for a role on the ROCU, which is a regional organized crime unit. And I had to go on this course. And it was a pass or fail course. And there's only really a few courses in the police that are pass or fail. Most of them are sort of more attendance sort of ones. But this was a pass or fail. And it was hard. People, generally, someone fell the whole time, every time. And I went in with a real lack of experience in that role. So it was in the covert world, and there was a lot of people that had lived and died in that world. And then there was me coming in with none. And what I realized was I was trying to do it their way. And obviously we learn the lessons and we learn like the sort of science of it, but the art is when we put our own sort of special sauce, for want of a better word. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? Put our own sort of ingredients in it and we make it our own. So we bring our own flavor to it. And I noticed I was like very scripted, and I was going into these scenarios with how I thought I should be. And this is the big thing. When we go into something thinking, this is how I should be, this is what people expect of me, I was not being myself. And I remember it was a week of assessments. And I remember getting to the Wednesday, and the instructor had basically said, I was going to have to sort of pull it out the bag to be able to pass. And I could feel all the doubts and all that coming up, and realizing that that was just pushing me further in this hole. I wasn't really going to make it if I carried on like that. And I just had this fuck it moment. This moment, I was just like, do you know what? If I'm going to fail this, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it being me. I'm going to go in there. And the big thing I thought was, I'm just going to enjoy it. And this is the power of our thinking and how it impacts us. When I was thinking I got to do it a certain way and I need to show this, that really made me tense and I wasn't being myself. When I just went, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me, and I'm willing to get it wrong, but I'm going to do it my way, and then I'm going to learn from that. And I remember going in, whereas before I had this bit of paper with all my notes on. I was like, right, this is what I got to do, get it all perfect. I remember coming out my room on I think it was on the Wednesday or the Thursday, and I just put my notes. I had no notes. I was going in, and someone said to me, "What are you doing?" I went, "Do you know what?" I said, "Fuck it. I'm going in, and I'm going to smash it, and I'm just going to be relaxed, and just going to be me, and I'm just going to go for it." Everyone else was in the room before practicing. And I was just like, "No, I'm going in." And I remember going into this scenario and just thinking, I can handle it. Whatever they throw at me, I'm going to handle. There's no script. I'm just going to deal with this the way I would deal with anything. And I went in and I just let it flow and I enjoyed it. And the big thing was I was myself. And then afterwards, the instructor that was in the corner of the room went, he said, they say, Paul's scenario over. He said, how do you think it went? And I went, do you know what? I don't care. I said, because I enjoyed it. I really don't care. I enjoyed it and I was myself. And he went, I could tell you enjoyed it and you've passed. And I passed that assessment. And then I just went into every assessment like that. And I actually ended up passing with good marks. And what I realized was the passing, the result I got was a byproduct of just being willing to be myself and being willing to fail being myself and just learn. And it just felt such a better energy doing that. But what I noticed was whenever I go into something, I'm learning it, then I go through that stage where it's more scripted and I sort of think, oh, I'm not really being myself. But I realize I still can be myself. And I realize I get scripted in that when I don't want to get it wrong. But when I go, I'm willing to get it wrong and I'm just going to be myself. And I think this is what I've noticed. If you can be yourself anywhere, there's nowhere you don't belong. When you're trying to fit in, places, that's when you want other people to like you before you feel like you're accepted. Then actually that's going to be really hard because you're going to be second guessing. You're not going to be yourself. And then often what happens is you get accepted, but they accept this version of you that you've projected and not your real self. Whereas when you create a sense of belonging in you, and belonging comes from within, wanting to fit in is an external thing, but belonging comes from you and you can belong anywhere. And then you can also be in a room full of people being really lonely. But when you just got this sense of belonging, you'll just be yourself and you'll find where you naturally fit. Because we are tribe creatures. We are not supposed to fit everywhere. I really believe that. But I think I belong everywhere because I'm happy in my own skin. But actually, if I'm not happy in my own skin, I'm trying to fit in places where I don't really, maybe I don't suit, because we don't suit everything, do we? And then we go, oh, but we're not, it just feels exhausting because we're not being our authentic self. And that's what I really decided was, I want to be my authentic self. And if people don't like me, then that's fine. Because we're not supposed to be liked by everyone. And it doesn't mean that I dislike them, but I just go, actually, as long as I can be me, it saves so much energy. And then what you do is you build this trust in yourself. You see yourself getting results. You see yourself making mistakes and learning, and it just builds that confidence. And this has really carried me through now, especially in the police. Like when I make decisions, sometimes if I'm there and I'm thinking, so I've got to make a decision, whereas not before, I would have second guessed and be thinking, what would someone else think? And don't get me wrong, I think what would someone else do might be useful if you're thinking of someone that's really sort of proficient in that role. But if you're second guessing, thinking, I don't want to make the mistake, and you're asking that question from a place of fear of judgment, then it's going to hold you back. Whereas if you go, actually, with my experience and the information I've got, that's the decision I'm making. I'm going for it. And I'll deal with the consequences. I'm not going to get defensive. I'm open to learning. And this is growth mindset. You find actually making decisions becomes fun. And yes, you may get criticized. You may. People criticize. But we don't want to hold ourselves back for fear of someone else's opinion. Because someone else's opinion is just that. It's their opinion. They're based on their beliefs. And those people that judge the most are the ones that fear it the most. So we just want to let them judge, listen to what they actually got to say, because there could be some learning in there. That's the thing. There could be some learning. There could be some truth in what they say. Take that truth and everything else, just let it go. And start learning to trust yourself. And what you'll find is, I always thought if I did this, that I wouldn't be such a good team player because I wouldn't, I'd be off making, just being like working on my own all the time. But I found the opposite to be true in that I'm a better team player. Because I trust myself, I'm also open to other people's opinions more. I don't worry if I'm wrong. So if I think we ought to do it one way and someone suggests something, I'm open to that. And then if I try it my way and I get it wrong, I'm happy to say, actually, you were right that time and I've learned, thank you very much. And it's just such a better way. And when you build this trust, you're willing to do much more. So I want you just to start building that trust in yourself. And that trust is just like really what you think about yourself, what you think you're capable of. It's the willingness to feel the fear and make the decision anyway. And I think to really trust yourself, you basically just got to have your own back. So even if no one else did, if you made a decision and it was a sort of what you thought at that time was a good decision, and then you've got your own back and you don't judge yourself, or you catch that judgment and just don't buy into it, and then you start willing to feel discomfort and lean into it and evaluate everything you do and learn from it. That's how to build trust in yourself. And you'll find your experiences will grow and your confidence will grow. So that's what I got. That's what I wanted to share with you today, because self-trust is everything. Then we don't become reliant on validation and reassurance from people. It's a nice to have, but it's not a need to have. And that's where we want to be. So start trusting yourself.